Labour wants to force more children into state education so they can indoctrinate them with diversity and race-baiting, Britain-hating woke ideology. That's the allegation. Labour's Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson, whose career outside politics is essentially just working for the charity her mum set up, is about to destroy a generation of children because of her ridiculous politics of envy. On Wednesday, we will become the only country in Europe to tax education. About 90,000 or so children could be hoiked out of their schools and thrown into the state sector, which can't cope. In fact, the whole of Surrey doesn't have any more school places. In 2019, the UK had the highest class sizes in Europe. Disabled children are not exempt, so children with special needs will be the biggest losers. The Treasury has given up being apolitical. They are celebrating the political decision to hike tax. This is despite teachers' unions, tax experts and school leaders saying this is a terrible idea. And now Bridget Phillipson is claiming that middle-class parents support her policy. No, they don't. That's gaslighting. But I think there's something really sinister going on here. Labour are forcing tens of thousands more children into the state sector. They are forcing them to learn the state curriculum, and they're about to wokeify that state curriculum. Bridget Phillipson is going to decolonise the curriculum to make sure it reflects the, quotes, diversity of British society. You can see it now, can't you? Monday's lessons brought to you by Black Lives Matter. Tuesday, the Muslim Council of Britain comes in. Wednesday, India Willoughby's class about girls welcoming blokes into their toilets. Thursday, that's Palestine Day, I'm afraid. On Fridays, Greta Thunberg and Chris Packham have teamed up for a course in how you can wear bright orange and glue yourself to the M4 during rush hour. It's clear that Labour have been listening to this guy.
Let's do it for Palestine, Ramallah, West Bank, Gaza. It's about time we globalise the Intifada.
That is Daniel Kebede, who is the head of the National Education Union, calling for a global intifada. And he's also called for this.
2014, when Michael Gove introduced the national curriculum, he erased any blackness from the curriculum. The curriculum was essentially whitewashed, and it's problematic. Black culture, black history, black achievement doesn't feature on the curriculum or in education, hardly at all. The truth's not taught on Britain's colonial past.
No, it's problematic. That man is the only person with less legitimacy than Bridget Phillipson when it comes to our education system. He was elected to his position by securing, I think, about 69% of the vote on a 9% turnout to be the head of the NEU. It's ridiculous, isn't it? And now he's dictating the national curriculum to a woman who used to work for her mum's charity, who is now the education secretary. I mean, I think there's clearly a plan here from the hard left. Force as many kids as possible into the state sector and then pump them full of woke, race-obsessed, anti-British, BLM-inspired, diversity-infused rubbish to indoctrinate the next generation. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got political consultant Suzanne Evans. We have the founding chairman of Global Britain UK, Aman Bagal, and the journalist Benjamin Butterworth. Suzanne, are you concerned here about the funneling of tens of thousands of children into a state school system that is about to be completely wokeified and captured by critical race theory?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Patrick. I think it's exactly as you said. This is a deliberate strategy to have that kind of Marxist idea of a long march through the institutions, to completely capture the institutions and then indoctrinate everybody who comes through them. I can't see any other logical explanation for it. You know, around the rest of the world, the idea of diversity, equality, inclusion is being questioned now. And just as that's happening, Labour goes nuclear on it. And that word diversity, it's not diverse, the word they want, it's divisive, because that's what this is. Indoctrinating children is wrong. A focus on one set of cultures above Indigenous British culture is wrong and divisive. This is also, of course, a form of gerrymandering, of trying to vote rig, about trying to get people to vote Labour. They're reducing the voting age to 16, I think, in the wrong assumption that younger people are more likely to vote Labour. I'm not convinced that's actually the case, but that's what they they think. And they also think now if they can indoctrinate kids in schools to think that anything on the right of politics is completely wrong, they're more likely to vote Labour in the future. They want to be in government forever. They want to be a dictatorship.
Okay, Benjamin's views in a second. You're rolling your eyes there, but I'm keen to get your take on this. Do we need to have things like more black people taught in our curriculum? I mean, is our curriculum not already fine? I mean, my concern would be that it would be taught through the lens of Britain hating.
Well, that's exactly what this is. This is division, 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 caused by, a bunch of mediocrities that are occupying the British cabinet right now. And Bridget Phillipson, as Education Secretary, is a third-rate Education Secretary that we had for a very long time. But look, this is more about cancelling free speech. It's about punishing parents with the VAT coming in. It's about an ideological indoctrination of our kids, attacking aspiration. But more than that, you want to decolonise, so-called decolonise the curriculum. Well, let's talk about the actual British history. It's not about black history. It's not about Indian history. It's about British history. Let's talk about the first Indian origin MP back in 1885 that this great nation elected into a parliament 100 years before the Labour Party elected Keith Vaz. Let's talk about that great mathematician from India that was elected to the Royal Society of Mathematicians in 1917, Ramanujan. Nobody talks about them.
Good.
Okay. Well,
should talk about them.
Yeah,
that sounds like...
but that's not decolonisation.
Possibly less so Keith Vaz, to be fair. Although I'd happily talk about that guy all night.
For the sake of the lawyers, I won't.
Those walls could talk. But but on a serious note, Benjamin, I mean, why is this other than a shameless attempt to indoctrinate kids?
I mean, I think you need to go back to school yourself, because that was a load of codswallop, right? You would not pass the exam on accuracy. Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, has not said she wants to decolonise. That was suggestions made to her.
She just wants to diversify it.
Exactly, which is rather different. That's about reflecting Britain's history, things like the slave trade, things like the Windrush generation.
So will she be teaching? Will she be teaching about William Wilberforce? Will she be teaching about the West Africa Squad? She won't be. We know that. Come on, let's be honest here. She'll be. Yes, we will.
Well, you don't.
I think we do.
And also, she said, irrefutably, that William Shakespeare will be going nowhere. It's an essential part of English literature. And you talk about just to point out. Let's get some more facts that you forgot. The National Education Union has no affiliation to the Labour Party. It's an independent union, and so it is wrong to say that they're dictating policy. And let's talk about Bridget Phillipson's background, because patronising private school boys like you, looking down your nose at a working-class woman who's made it to the top. Here is somebody that was born to a single mum in a council house on free school meals in Gateshead, right?
Yeah.
She never met her dad.
Is now living
she never met her
politics of envy fantasy.
No, patronising nonsense.
Just out there on the nation, isn't she?
I tell you what.
Pulling the ladder away.
Where are all the teachers? Where are all the teachers in the Labour Party?
Let me finish.
How does she sleep at night knowing that disabled children will now be plonked into the state school system?
How do you
These are cultural vandals.
Well, so many people can't even pay their taxes. Bridget Phillipson made it from being the kid of a single mum in a council estate in Gateshead.
Destroying a generation of children.
Let's boil it down. Let's boil this down. Let's boil this down.
After she went to Oxford, instead of taking a highly paid job that she could have easily got...
Where she earned a second.
Instead of doing that, she went and ran
a second-class honours.
Top economist.
It's just pointless if you speak over me, a man. She went and ran a women's refuge for 3 years.
Which her mum set up?
Yes, exactly.
Right, so she got a job with her mum?
Her mum gave her a job. Her mum had almost no money and used her life to do a charity, which she worked in a women's refuge.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? When it talks
What's that got to do with education?
You're only too happy to talk about women's refuges, but when it's a Labour MP that gave their life to it, you don't want to talk about it.
But she didn't give her life. She was born in 1983.
All right, OK, fine.
This is absolute nonsense. Look, we are competing with the Chinese, with the Indians, with the Americans. They haven't got the likes of the mediocrities of Bridget Phillipson running their education system. They're churning out.
Is that a problem? Is that a problem? So let's not get too personal. I'm not trying to say, she's getting it. Well, right, okay. I'm not going to say she's a hero, but
the fact is
she mediocre? Is she subpar? Is this a bad policy?
She's not up to the job. Look, the policies she's bringing into play show categorically that she's not up to the job. If she knew what she was doing and she really cared about education, she would not be doing this. She'd be focusing on doing what Labour promised to do before the election, which was to take workload off teachers so they can focus on teaching. Having a whole new curriculum rolled out is not going to do that. It's going to make life more difficult for teachers to start with. And this curriculum is going to be so focused on what's good about diversity, and that's what annoys me, because diversity has come at a cost as well.
Yeah.
It's not all chicken tikka masala and beautiful, colourful religious festivals. It's female genital mutilation. It's honour killings.
Armed police
it's
at Christmas
grooming gangs,
markets.
it's armed police at Christmas markets. Are kids going to be taught about that?
Sometimes.
No, they're not. And any kid that does get talk about that is probably going to find themselves being suspended or possibly even expelled. This is as divisive as policy as it comes, as is her VAT on public schools.
Well, hang on.
As Patrick said, she might have had a very tough background with us, and I'm a single mum myself, and I know how damn tough it is, and I've struggled as well. But my goodness, I don't want to pull that ladder up from other kids.
I would have a single question for Bridget Phillipson.
She wouldn't have gone to us.
What does she have to...
Sink State School. And, somebody like Bridget Phillipson might think that's the right thing, but damn no, I was her mother, was going to fight for her, and I did. And every other parent should have that right as well.
Well, I echo a lot of what Susanna said, but my simple question to Bridget Phillipson, as Education Secretary, would be, what does she have to say on that poor teacher still in hiding from the Batley Grammar School?
Yeah, nothing.
That's all it is.
Nothing.
Does she stand for him?
I mean, a perfectly valid question, but you put that to the previous 3 or 4 education secretaries since...
Well, she's in charge now. She's in charge now.
There was a poll last week. 55% of people support VAT on private schools. Less than a fifth are opposed to it. It was in the Labour manifesto. Labour won a landslide in the election. That is how democracy works. OK, you lost. And what will that pay for? It will pay for 6,500...
But it won't.
Maths and English...
But it won't.
Teachers.
It's going to be a loss of £150 million.
Like Ms Phillipson can get the opportunity to be in the cabinet. And we need to stop worrying about people that have 18 or 36 grand spare for schools.
The whole of Surrey doesn't have any school plays.
Well, I'm sorry, Surrey, but the fact is, I don't think people that have 36 grand spare are who we should be worrying about in an economic crisis.
So you would rather that taxpayers pay for people...
You would rather that taxpayers fund the richest to go to school.
But they're funding their own kids.
In this country. I think that's a disgrace, man.
Thank you very much. A lively start. We're back at it. Right, OK.